Hello and welcome. That's the second part of the Here HD tutorial. There we saw how easy it is to import Here HD and OSM data into Tree and 3D Builder. In this tutorial we will show how to further edit your terrain. We will cover some project best practices like sorting the OSM data into groups and assigning the proper hierarchy to them, importing your own textures, editing bridges, adding your own models to the terrain, and some other small fixes. Let's start. That's the project in the state we let it in the last tutorial. We are gonna start sorting the OSM data. The OSM folder has a lot of vector groups inside them, and we will like to have them sorted. So I'm gonna start making a folder with objects, and then I will grab all objects inside the OSM folder and drop them into the new folder. So from trees to, okay, there are buildings no, but pipeline, for example. So till here, they're all small objects. They need to be on the top of the hierarchy. Then we will make a second folder for the buildings. We call it buildings. Here is where you can name them, the new folders. And we proceed the same way we did with the objects folder. We grab all the buildings that inside the OSM import folder and drop them into the new folder called buildings. We will do the same for the surfaces. Once we have all of them sorted in the new folders, we will have a bunch of dummy stuff here inside the OSM and that train and running track that actually has more to do with streets. And for the dummy stuff, we just get rid of it, because those are things that actually have no translation, no visual translation like a boundary or point of interest. You're gonna still add in vector list ID to those dummies, but for some special project, but it's not the case, so I'm going to erase them. By the end of the day, you need to have your hierarchy sorted like that, and because that's a kind of a layered system. If we don't put the surfaces on the bottom of the hierarchy, they will generate it at the end, covering all other assets, and those other assets won't be visible. Remember, here with those arrows you can move your vectors up and down in the hierarchy. So it should look like that. Right now that's looking like that. We see we have that wizard surface insert that's responsible of that texture on the bottom of everything. I'm gonna hide the surfaces so you can see it better. Once generated, it looks like that. In order to get more control over the texture, we are gonna get rid of the wizard surface insert and add our own main surface that will cover everything. Select the area, create area tool, and choose one surface that you like. We will change later the texture for that surface. I'd like to have it even with PBR textures, why not? Remember to draw the area anti-clockwise. Now we can hide the wizard surface insert and we bring down in the hierarchy the new surface we draw. If we generate it now, it looks like that. So we don't have anymore that pixelated texture. We see like the pattern of the tile level texture. That's something you won't notice when you are on the road. And here in the outline under the modifiers is where you can choose the material for your surface, that huge surface underneath everything. Click on the red arrow to jump into the material library. The library contains all of the material delivered with Tree and 3D Builder, and you can preview them here, and you can also add your own material groups. Let's do that. Click on New and name the new group. Now under Materials, open and search for your albedo textures. So that's the new texture. No, that one not, that's the old. That's the new texture. And as we see here in the material entries, we have metallic, roughness, normal, and diffuse. The metallic will be in the red channel, the roughness in the alpha channel, and they are automatically imported. Let's do with a second one, with a second material, and it will be like that. So if they are all in the same folder, Trian 3D Builder will recognize them and import all of them. In the case you have packed your metal and roughness in the same file but in different channels, Trian 3D Builder will take care of that too. It will import it twice. So later you can seamlessly export it to the simulation engine of your choice. And here you can have a preview of your PBR materials. We are going to use the ID 139 for our outline modifier. And we wanted to assign that material to the main surface, like the big surface beneath everything. So let's do that. That was our PBR materials. The ID was 139. That way we can find it easily. And ID 2, I think, was the one I like it for that. Let's do that for all other surfaces too, all other used surfaces. Okay, after generating I got that. Obviously the size of the texture is not the correct one. It's like too obvious the tiling here, so I have to change the size of the texture. You can do that here, and also maybe better here in the texture panel under attributes. There you add the attribute size and you can edit it. After playing a bit with the texture size, we got that. And if we take a look from the road level, the tiling is not noticeable. It's looking quite nice. But let's move to the next point, the bridges. Let's create our bridges. First, in 2D, having as reference the satellite picture, select the profile road in element mode and split it exactly where the bridge starts and ends. So we create a new segment in the middle, then we select that middle segment in element mode and let's assign to it the vector list ID called profile bridge profile road. After that, select the 3 segments in element mode, and we need to create the transitions between them. We have seen that already in a previous tutorial, the crossings tutorial. There is one special about transitions. You can check it out. Now we see a new vector group is created called transition, and if we select the little point, we see we have also our icon there telling us that that's a transition. And that's what we get right now if we render it. We can also add some pillars. Let's go to the bridge modifier and you control there like length, width, distance, height, material, and so on. I'm playing a bit with the different values from the pillar section of the bridge modifier, and I wanted to show you that measurement tool that can help a lot about so in order to get like the right size for the distance of the pillars and so on. And that's what we get when we render it, when we generate it. We need to get rid of the pillars on top of the road. For that we can use a modifier, a special modifier on top of the profile road. First I'm gonna select the road in edit mode and oh, what's doing a billboard there? No billboards. And here we are going to find the object eraser that will erase everything on top of the road. So let's see how it looks like. Looks like that solution worked. That's what we get after generating it. We have no more pillars on top of the road. Good. Now we could do that with other bridges on the project. where the bridge flag is missing from the hierarchies data, following the same procedure and making a second one, but I will put it in high speed so you don't get bored. There's plenty of stuff to play with, also you can add material to that, or so that's what we get. Other thing you may want to know is how to deal with those bumps showing up on the surface of the road. And the way to do it, like the way we solve it, is using a planar area. That's actually a vector list ID already prepared, so you just need to, I have it there in the hierarchy already, but you can find it in the vector list ID here, and just start drawing there where you need it. Once we got it, we will just check with the mouse on all of the positions which are the height around that bump, so we can give a bit lower height to that planar area. Let's see how it looks like when we generate it. So here we go. It's like not noticeable, and here is the planar area, so it works. To deal with the wrong orientation of barriers, we can solve it super quickly just by selecting the barrier in edit mode and clicking on the reverse button. See, and if barriers collide with your terrain, remember you can always translate them a bit by hand. So now it's looking like that, and remember you can always move by hand any single vector or group of vectors. To get a nicer look in the viewport, we can activate the sky. It is under viewer, and whoops, so it looks way nicer. Here you have also camera field of view or fog, but let's move on. The last part of that tutorial is about importing your own geometry into the project. First of all, under geometry, create a new geometry group. I call it project geometry, and here you can import the geometry you need. Here it is, that's a half bridge, and now we have it in our library. If you click on the material here and go into the material library by pressing the red arrow, you see that that bridge had PBR materials, and they are imported with it. Here we see diffuse, metallic, and roughness. And now let's import the sign on the bridge. That's gonna be on the bridge. Yes, now it is also in the library, and here you can preview them. Now you'll see how the photo booth disappears, and that's because that step can be done before or after you import the geometry. And I like to use a previous made vector list ID and just clone it. That way I spare time creating all the modifiers that are needed in order to place the geometry into the terrain. So if we clone it, we name it, and we have a new vector list ID, and in the point object placer we just need to search for the ID 12 that was the one containing the imported geometry. And here we go. Remember, you may want to scale it or give an offset to it in order to integrate it. Now we will do the same for the sign on top of the bridge. For that we duplicate that vector, the bridge vector, and we will place the sign as local overrides. Yeah, select it and local override, you got it. So we've learned a bunch of stuff with this tutorial. Of course we could adjust some things. We could like be more precise with the location of those, like adjust those surfaces so they don't have that small rim on the border and few things. But if you remember how it was looking like the raw database before editing it and how it looks like now, we've come quite far. And that also, it's exportable to any engine that you need. So thanks a lot, and see you next time.